I'm Mindy McGinnis. I live at 46 Glenside. I really appreciate Councilmember Hamlin bringing up conversations about projects that seem to disappear. I'd like to bring up mine, which is the Glenside Avenue Drainage Project. I have a letter from a year ago. Kevin Smallwood came to my house. I really appreciate it. So did Vartan when he was on council. Just so you know, I've spent $25,000 in water mitigation from water that comes off of the street and into my driveway and goes into my neighbor's yards. I feel like I am supplementing the city's inaction. I feel like this is a special tax that only Glenside residents and also Hughes Street have to pay. People behind me have spent 4 times as much for water mitigation. This was going to be solved with the sidewalk project, also with a water project in a combo. We were very excited when we received these letters a year ago. We also received a letter about Balsarall Place traffic, which was also very important to us. People have run into a house, I think they're drunk, numerous times. This is a really bad street. Recently, the gas company was working on that street, and they had some dirt on the ground, and they started to spray it off, and it started going right into my driveway. And the guy's like, wait, there's not a drainage on this street? And I said, no, it's actually down the street and to the left and over another block. He's like, how can that be? I'm like, that's a really good question. And then the water and the mud came down to my driveway, and they cleaned it up. And they were like, I'm so sorry that's happened. I said, that's more than what Summit has ever said to me. I appreciate that. So long story short, I'm curious what happened to the project. I'm tired of spending money on water mitigation that's coming off of the street. I understand it's a county road, and I understand there was a plan at one point, and I've not heard anything since. I want to thank you for your time. I thank you for coming to my house and walking that distance. Thank you to Vartan, who also did it. I encourage all of you to come. I'll give you a cup of coffee. Just want to thank you for your time. When I look at the Summit beacon ahead of me, I think, wow, that's the water coming down Glenside into my garage. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. Rosalind Kendellen, 36 Laurel Avenue. Council President McTiernan, Mayor Fagan, and Council Liaison to the Summit Housing Authority Board, Boyer. I am the Commissioner on the Summit Housing Authority Board, and I serve as the Chair of the Board this year. Summit Housing Authority provides housing for 70 families and 120 seniors. I did not attend the council meeting on September 3rd, but I did watch the video recording of the meeting. And this evening, I would like to address the main thrust of Councilman Boyer's remarks that he made at the council meeting on September 3rd concerning the Summit Housing Authority. He said that some of the tenants had complaints about the condition of Summit Housing Authority units, such as leaky faucets, and about the administrative procedures, such as rent collections or workmen arriving unannounced. In addition, Councilwoman Delia also said that she receives 3 calls a month from tenants who have complaints about the SHA. And of course, tenants have the right to speak at council meetings and to speak to council members or to any of the 7 Summit Housing Authority commissioners about their concerns. However, neither council members nor even the SHA commissioners can resolve these issues. The place for tenants' issues to be resolved is with the SHA's office staff, staffed by the Executive Director Jacqueline Gray and her employees, who follow HUD regulations. Therefore, tenants who make complaints to council members or commissioners need to be directed to Ms. Gray and her staff. This is where the action can be taken. The rent calculation can be revised, arrangements can be made for that leaky faucet to be repaired, or workmen can be rescheduled. Councilman Boyer also said that tenants are intimidated and harassed by SHA staff about lease and rent issues. Each tenant signs a lease for his or her unit, which contains the rights and responsibilities of the tenant and the SHA. For example, if a tenant fails to pay rent or violates another term of the lease, he or she is held accountable and can be served a notice to cease or a complaint for non-payment of rent. And this is not staff intimidation or harassment. This is the staff requiring the tenant to comply with the lease, which is critically important for the well-being of all SHA tenants and for the protection of SHA property and for the financial soundness of SHA. I have confidence in Ms. Gray and her staff to treat the tenants respectfully and fairly in this regard. Of course, tenants who are dissatisfied have options. First, a tenant is welcome to speak at the monthly SHA board meetings during the public comment meeting, and those issues are followed up by the staff. In addition, the SHA has monthly
Wrap it up, please.
Okay, 2 more seconds. Resident committee meetings for tenants to discuss issues, and again, these are provided to the staff. Finally, HUD regulations require leases to contain a grievance procedure, and the tenants can find a just, effective, efficient settlement for grievances against the SHA. And notwithstanding this process, I think council, commissioners and myself are willing to speak to tenants, and we have done that in the past, and I do plan to do that in the future. And to conclude, the board is responsible for overseeing all of the operations of the SHA, and we want to know that if you have any concerns, that please talk to the commissioners. And also it's important for us to work together, to have a cooperative relationship to better serve the SHA. Tried to wrap it up fast.
No,
I know it's
and
late.
I appreciate your important message to
Yes.
the residents of the Summit
Yes.
Housing Authority.
Yes.
So thank you for your comments.
Yes, you do. Thank you.
Good job.
Okay.
Ms. Candela, can you just leave your statement?
I tell you, I made so many corrections to my notes, I can give it to you later when it's
Perfect.
corrected. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Adriana Allercon, Springfield Avenue. Subbrook, exclamation point, question mark. Broken County Pipe, exclamation mark, question mark. Army Corps of Engineers, exclamation point, question mark. I passed 712 Springfield Ave contact, which seemed like a viable option to get equipment down to Subbrook. If 710 property is the contact needed, I cannot provide any contact info since it's affordable housing units. Previously discussed, September was the planned start of the project. We can't afford another long lull in the momentum we finally gained on this issue. Thank you for your time. I'll email my statement.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening, Mayor Fagan, Council President McTiernan, members of council and staff. I'm Jim Bennett, B-E-N-N-E-T-T, 38 Fairview Avenue. President McTiernan's comments about the importance of the school budget prompted some thoughts of mine about making the city and the school district work better together. And I'd like to suggest these ideas to the liaisons to the Board of Education. The first idea came to me from a member of council who believes that the city maintains too many capital assets for the school district. The leading example is the Anderson Field House. The school district uses it, but the city owns and maintains it. It would be healthier to have the school district, the entity that uses the asset, own and maintain it. The larger point is that there should be a review of all the assets that the city owns, maintains, or funds for the school district to consider transfer to the school district. Summit residents would be better served if these assets came under the school district's ownership and responsibility. But there's a condition. If the city transfers assets to the school district must have a more transparent budgeting process. There, the city's budget process can serve as a model. The city and the school district appear to have different fiscal years, but both entities finalize their budgets at about the same time. One thought would be to have a combined capital budget workshop. The city has a capital budget workshop on December of each year. Another idea would be to include the school budget snapshot with the city budget snapshot mailer that goes out each year before the city's May budget hearing. Now just imagine a school budget mailer would draw in residents who do not normally attend Board of Education meetings. Finally, I was impressed with the response that School District Business Manager Derek Jess gave me when I attended a school board meeting last Thursday regarding its management of tangible, real, and personal property, including capital assets. The school district appears to have learned the lessons since the near collapse of the Wilson Gym. I would like to commend Mr. Jess to the city as a resource. Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestions.
Jacqueline Lasaracina, Lasaracina. I'm a resident of Summit. Good evening. I would also like to talk about the school budget. Bottom line up front, I ask that we please budget better for our children and our teachers. I just came from back to school night. Well, now it's been several hours. I was at back to school night earlier. Our teachers are doing amazing things. And yet our median Summit teacher makes $10,000 less than the state median. $10,000 less. Our teachers deserve better. We have classrooms here in Summit with requests for basic classroom supplies on Donors Choose, a nonprofit website that connects charitable donors to, quote, teachers in need. Glue sticks, Play-Doh, lab equipment for the high school. Why in Summit do we have classrooms asking for donations of basic school supplies? I believe our children deserve better. Now at the same time, I just learned this evening that every kindergartner has their own Chromebook, their own computer, rather than there being one set that could be shared across the different classes. So every kindergartner has their own Chromebook, but we're underpaying our teachers and we're not covering the cost of basic classroom supplies. I can't make this make sense. We're not funding the right things in our schools. The bottom line is not the only thing that matters in a budget. We need to fund the right things. We need priorities-based budgeting, a budget that supports the strategic priorities of our school district. Anything else is guesswork, and we're seeing the disappointing results. Last spring, we heard from the Operations Committee of the Board of Ed about using zero-based budgeting for our schools. Let's be very clear, that is an austerity measure for our Summit schools. I find that unacceptable. We need to protect our schools. We need to protect the excellence of our public education program. As a friendly reminder, the Board of Ed is appointed by the mayor. They are not directly accountable to the community. This body is directly accountable to the community, and 3 of the 5 members of the budgeting school group are here at the dais. So rather than trying to send us down the road to the Board of Ed, I respectfully ask that you please commit to doing better for our children. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Scalzo, S-C-A-L-Z-O. My contact information is at scalzophoto.com. I wasn't actually planning on speaking today, but I had a quick, strange interaction with Dan Crisofelli earlier. And the only reason I'm talking about him is because I understand he's a candidate for the council. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up. So I walk in and I go to sit down, and the chief welcomed me in, and I sit next to him. And then Dan takes out a camera and takes a picture of me, which is fine, we're all on camera. But what he's trying to do, he's trying to set up the scenario that people are harassing him and intimidating him. And then the chief saw that I literally sat down at a random chair. I was not trying to intimidate Dan Crisofelli, just for the record. I want to put that on the record. Because he's filing false police reports, allegedly, and making these accusations against the gentleman that's going to speak next. So I just want to put that on the record.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I will be remaining anonymous. Council President, Mayor, City Clerk can largely be a thankless job, and I thank you all for the jobs that you're doing. I would like to speak a little bit about the history of, my coming into Summit. I've been here for about 8 months. And when I first got here, I was challenging a lot of the Republican leadership team because you guys are the council majority. It was met with professionalism And I called every one of you out, and particularly at one point or another, except for Councilwoman Michelle, I'll say your last name wrong, and also Councilwoman Holt, never called you guys out particularly. And then I started focusing on the Democrats. I'm an advocate for government transparency and accountability. So as there were some residents and they were feeding me all this information, look at this, look at that, look at this, I can't wait to meet you, your videos are great, I'm so glad you're in town, all this stuff. Second, I started looking at the Democrats. These same people now start, and after what happened with Mr. Cristofelli, with him saying that I threatened, harassed him, followed him out to his car. I found out about this article because he privately messaged and sent it to me with a message that said, "Hi Mikey, let us know how we can help." And I'm reading this article and I'm just like, what the hell is this shit? Like, I didn't even mean it. Like, bizarre, you know? So I thought that was really interesting. All I did was ask him questions. The man didn't know it was on camera. He tried to advance his own political opportunity and gain at not only my expense, but all of the residents. All of the residents' expense is what he tried to do. So I think that's shameful. That's absolutely disgusting. And he said I was a supporter or a follower of Kevin Smallwood. I had never publicly or even privately said I support Kevin Smallwood, but now I do. Now I do. Yeah, you better believe it. You know, I think that's people who are inferior cower in the shadow of real leadership. And the reason why I was challenging the leadership team is because they have leadership. You know, and I will hold anyone accountable. That's what I do. That's what keeps me well. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. You know, it's important for me. And in the spirit of Charlie Kirk, I want to say, everybody's got to say what they're needing to say. Just as soon as they're needing to say it, the freedom to speak, to be a freak, or the freedom to say that you hate it. And have a big old conversation. I saw laughing, and I saw glee. Could have been you. It could have been me. I would like to have an opportunity, if you allow me to, in the spirit of our American values over party politics and identity, give everybody an opportunity to accept an American flag. If I could start with Mr. Giacob, who I've had a history with, as a symbolic way to think of our values, our core values over party politics. If I could start there and then go to the left and give everybody an opportunity to take a flag.
That'd be fine, and then we'll move on, okay? Thank you so much for your
Like the
comments.
flag? Would you like the flag? Would you like the flag?
I hope they don't ban them here.
Put this on the Jeep.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a big difference. It's a big difference. Huge. Shows a patriotism.
Please begin.
Before my time starts, can I get more time?
No, 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yep.
All right, we've heard you guys for the past, I don't know, 4 hours.
No, 3
I know,
minutes.
I know. So, all right, so good evening. I'm Garden State Accountability. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm here tonight to support Bongholio and ask for a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, who was tragically murdered. Whatever your view of him may be, Charlie stood for free speech, and it's something that we should all value. So I'm going to give 30 seconds. Charlie Kirk once said, freedom of speech is not about protecting the speech you agree with, it's about protecting the speech you disagree with. So we come to these meetings to be heard. You may not like what we have to say, but every voice deserves respect. Retaliation against people for their speech is wrong. And yet Chris Dan Crisofelli filed a false police report against Bongholio. The allegations were not true, and it was on video. Now ask yourselves, is he really scared of a man with a camera? And the fact that he's so childish to whip out a phone and record us. That's not leadership, it's weakness. You cannot vote for this man for council in November. He lied on a police report, he doesn't answer questions, and he has no credibility. I ask this council and the people of Summit to stand up for free speech, honesty, and stand up for accountability. And if you guys have a tip about corruption in your community, you can email me at alertgsanow@gmail.com. Yeah, so let's get the speaking time up. I mean, this is crazy. We definitely heard you guys for, I don't know, 4 hours. I've been here since 6 o'clock. The meeting was supposed to start at 7:20. It started at 8. There's 40 minutes right there. I mean, the least you guys can do is give the people a little bit more time, because we hear a lot from you. And I've been watching these meetings for the past, I don't know, what is it, 8 months you've been coming here? You know, some people get cut off. People have speeches. She even read something for some woman on a laptop. That's extra time. That's something, you know, we should give that courtesy to other people, not just some. You know what I mean? So let's get that speaking time to at least 5 minutes. And you guys can vote on that tonight, or put forth an ordinance to make the speaking time 5 minutes, at least, for the courtesy of the people here in Summit that don't want to be cut off. That's all I got.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Dave Hoffman. I live at 1 New England Avenue. I wanted to be delivering a very non-political message, but unfortunately, I have to respond to what I've heard. My mom was a Holocaust survivor, and she said before she died, "Never think it couldn't happen here." And I'm afraid I'm beginning to see it is happening here, where my patriotism is being questioned. I resent that. Anyway, now for my non-political message. The other weekend I was walking around saying, what is there to do in Summit? Something fun, something different, something artistic, something cultural. And once again, I'm gonna raise the idea of using the firehouse, the old firehouse, for a place that could be enjoyed by the community for cultural events. I would love to see a Summit Performing Arts Center in some form at that location. I know that you're thinking about housing, but as part of that housing, there could be a cultural arts center. Madison has it as part of their housing, and it's used 365 days. It's amazing for recitals, dance. The Summit Film Society shows her films in Madison because there's no place in Summit. Isn't that a shame? Anyway, I'm going to be working on this idea and hopefully speaking with you about creating a Summit Performance Arts Center. You know, I'm a school teacher and I'm not nervous in front of classes, but boy, am I nervous in front of you people. Wow. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. My name is David Snow with the Exposure Report, and I'm here in solidarity with my fellow Freedom Enforcer and Tyranny Response Team member, Ron Holyoke. I want to thank the chief for you have people coming up to him trying to upset about us exercising our First Amendment rights, and I see him telling them they have the right to speak and say what they want to say, especially during Constitution Week. I think it's very important. So thank you to the chief. Recently, as an independent journalist, Bongholio here asked questions in this here very public building. That's not harassment. That's democracy. That's the job of a free press. However, Dan Crisofelli couldn't handle it. He didn't just leave the room, he left reality. He went to the police and filed a false police report. He claimed the journalist harassed him and followed him to his car, except the facts don't match his fantasy. The journalist never left the building after him. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a fabrication. And a fabrication tells us more about Dan than the truth ever could. Because here's the psychology. When he feels pressure, he doesn't stand up to it, he rewrites it. When he feels cornered, he doesn't answer, he invents. When accountability knocks, he doesn't open the door, he calls the cops and plays the victim. That's not leadership, that's pathology. And when that lie started to look too thin to stand on, he added another. He branded the journalist as political, trying to tie him to his opponent's party. That's projection. That's paranoia. That's the authoritarian instinct to turn every critic into an enemy of the state. Let's psychoanalyze this for what it is. We're not just looking at one false report. We're looking at fragility, a man who collapses under scrutiny. We're looking at manipulation, a man who weaponizes the police to cover his fear. We're looking at narcissism, a man who must always be the victim. And we're looking at dishonesty, a man who rewrites reality anytime the truth doesn't fit his ego. Now ask yourself, if he'll lie about being followed to his car, what else will he lie about? If he'll weaponize law enforcement to silence a journalist, will he weaponize the city hall to silence residents? If he sees accountability as harassment, how will he treat democracy when it demands transparency? Someone doesn't need actors playing the part of public servant. You don't need fabricators. You don't need men so fragile that a question feels like an attack. We need leaders who can stand in the light, let there be light, without flinching. Leaders who could take questions without calling them crimes. Leaders who could answer the people without rewriting the script. Dan Crucifelli has shown us who he is. And when someone shows you who they are, believe him the first time. He's not strong, he's not honest, he's not fit for office. So let me close with this. A man who can't handle questions has no business handling power. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm Leroy Truth of Leroy Truth Investigations. Please subscribe to me on YouTube and Facebook. You can investigate me now too. I'm laughing because as this gentleman was speaking, the coward of Summit, Dan
Please address the council.
I'm going to address anything I want. This is First Amendment, remember? You had a beautiful speech about it. I'm going to look here, I'm going to look here, and look here. You did a great job. You got some really wonderful, powerful speakers in Summit. I'm really loving this place. Now, one thing that really concerns me, though, is the 3 minutes. And that is not enough time. And I know you gave this very nice woman, is she still here? I don't see her. You gave her over 4 minutes. Now, that would not be content neutral if you stopped me at 3. And so I hope you will honor that. Now, as far as the 3 minutes, I've heard some people say, well, it's a process to change that, which it should be 6 minutes. That's reasonable. So with a show of hands, how many of you right now would be willing to change from 3 minutes to 6 minutes? Show of hands. So the people can speak freely.
Wow, nobody.
Not a single Republican or
That's
Democrat.
crazy.
You have all gone on and on and on all evening. You love to hear yourself speak, but I came from New England to be here, to support this gentleman here who, that Dan Sukafowski, I just can't get his name right, I don't know. But he lied about this man here, and you had something you said which was disappointing as well, and that is Mike McTiernan. And it was Council President Mike McTiernan, and this is in the tapented.net, terrible newspaper here. While I cannot comment on an ongoing police investigation, I have full confidence that the Summit Police Department, I love the chief too, by the way, he's awesome, will conduct a thorough and professional follow-up, i.e. investigation, he said, emphasizing that all residents deserve to feel safe in their community. Well, a man who asks questions should never be investigated criminally. That's a problem. You should not support that. He's got to do what he's told to do in regards to that. Now, of course, he will find nothing. But I support this man here. You should all support it because, especially you, blathered on about the First Amendment. But when a journalist is asking questions, relevant questions, to a candidate running who has a lot of responsibility up here, I get vibes of a lot of professionalism, vibes of some infighting, vibes of caring for the residents from different ones, and vibes of not caring for them. And I'm hoping that you support free journalism and you will condemn Dan struck a bell. If I come again, I promise to fast the name, I promise. But the First Amendment is sacred. And it only kicks in if my speech offends you, or his speech offends you. Otherwise, the First Amendment is completely unnecessary. And lastly, Dan, whatever his last name is, he ran out like a coward. So
I'm gonna give you the same courtesy I give that one, just wrap it up, please.
I appreciate that, thank you, sir. And that this gentleman, as he was speaking, Dan, the guy running for council here, he ran away. And each of you seem to have pretty thick skins, and I appreciate that. I think everyone else does as well. And you do listen to us when we speak. Whether you act upon it or not, that's a different story. So I appreciate spending some time here today, and God bless you all. We come here peacefully. And God bless the chief. I really like him a lot. If you have a major fight with him. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Chief.
Other public comments?
Good evening. I'm Diego Hoyk, Argyle Fort. First of all, one of the things that Jim Bennett just mentioned about scheduling things together, using assets together, perhaps that could be applied to field usage as well. But that's not what I came to talk about. I am a taxpayer. I'm the father to 3 Summit Public School students. I'm concerned about the impact of the school budget cuts on the education of my children. We came to Summit from an expat assignment overseas. My oldest child spoke Spanish better than English. Excuse me, I'm speaking. His English as a second language teachers helped him advance from an A reading level to an L level in mere months. This council voted not to hire an ESL teacher. Another one of my kids emerged from the COVID lockdowns with difficulty processing his emotions. Thanks to his outstanding counselor and teachers, he now thrives. What a paradox. As everyone running for office parrots concerns about the mental health of our children, you cut a counseling position and the district's mental health clinician. Our middle school students now have to waste time standing in line for Chromebook support because 4 technology coach positions were eliminated. Finally, how can our school fulfill our mission to, quote, prepare all students to thrive in an evolving world, end quote, when you chose not to hire a new computer science teacher and cut teacher training and access to information like textbooks and subscriptions? Penny wise, but pound foolish. My biggest concern is that these cuts may be merely the tip of an iceberg. None of Mayor Fagan's 3 BOE appointments will have kids in our public schools next year. They can cut next year's budget without affecting their loved ones. Who will speak for our students? I also wonder about the push to gain total oversight over what grants are funded by the SEF, a beloved institution that has contributed over $12 million to our schools. I worry about a possible hidden agenda. In this sense, it's noteworthy that this weekend Councilman Pawlowski wrote how he truly feels about our schools, and I quote, "For far too long, our teachers have indoctrinated our students with their own ideas and agendas," end quote. I could not disagree with you more on this, Bob. Our teachers are tops. In contrast to this, prior administrations made strategic investments. In the last few years, AC was finally installed in our middle school, while the athletic field, drama spaces, and science labs were upgraded. The Together for Summit team was voted into office to solve our affordable housing obligation without overdevelopment. Summit residents did not give you a mandate to radically reform our schools. Our public schools are the crown jewel of Summit. They're the key driver of our property values and, more importantly, the future of our children. So, thank you. And Kevin, I also was not allowed to join a private Facebook group when I was running.
Thank
It
you for
happens.
your comments. Other public comments?
You going up?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Dora Gagnon. I am making my own motion to have Ms. Kalmanson recuse herself from anything further for Tatlock. I find it appalling that she's actually able to vote on the lights or having discussion about the lights, when I believe Mr. Pawlowski has to recuse himself when anything comes to Broad Street West. So I look to you, Mr. Giacobbe, as she lives directly across the street. And I believe her husband is probably involved in this lawsuit. I'm not saying he is, but I believe he is because he is the face of the United for Tatlock group, making comments like, hey everyone, I'd like you to encourage all of you to put out lawn signs for Dan Christofoli and Jackie LaSaracina, who are running against Kevin and Delia. The current council is intent on forcing these lights on us without addressing any of our concerns. Kevin has proven time again that he doesn't care about our neighborhood and sees us as an obstacle. And Delia has held meetings with a few of us, but done nothing to go along with whatever her party wants. Electing Dan and Jackie is the best chance we have at having a council majority. Council majority, because that's a great idea. That cares all about Summit. Those are in bold letters. DM me your address if you're interested in lawn signs, and it'll be delivered to you. Miles. P.S. Dan and Jackie have expressed interest in meeting with our neighborhood to discuss the lights, playgrounds, and overdevelopment, or anything else you mind. Stay tuned for details. Hashtag Kevin doesn't care. Hashtag where's Delia? Hashtag she needs to recuse herself. Just like the fact that David Nadeau didn't recuse himself when it came to Broad Street West. I find it fitting that she's sitting over here making decisions when there's a lawsuit out, and she was the one that started this group, and she's on council now. Why does she have any say as to what's going on with the lights? And this whole group, maybe she's not involved, but her husband's really active, and her neighbors are. So I make a motion, I move the motion, I want her removed from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
El Rampador, Hudson County. Here to talk about the ableism here in Summit. I'm in a lot of pain right now. I shouldn't be here. I should be home on a Zoom meeting. And for 19 months, you gave us Zoom access. You gave disabled people all the things they were asking for years, like online church, online school, online everything, online work. I mean, and for 19 months, disabled people were along for the ride. My friend Jeff took part from his deathbed in meetings, from stage 4 cancer. People in wheelchairs all over the state were taking part in these meetings. And then all of a sudden, you took it away. And why'd you take it away? Why'd you take away Zoom access for the disabled? For sick and dying people? You have schools in Summit without proper wheelchair access where children are fire hazards because the access is bad and you got a kid on the other side of the building where there's no ramp. They're a fire hazard. Children. The children. We forget about the children. We forget about the vets. We take photo ops with vets, but we forget about the vets. You have all over New Jersey, you have urban enterprise zones where you get tax breaks, but if you're in a wheelchair, you can't access the same tax breaks as able-bodied people. And you see that all over. We have police stations around New Jersey without wheelchair access. Post offices around New Jersey with no wheelchair access. And it's bipartisan. It's a bipartisan issue. I saw Jack Chidarelli a couple of weeks ago in Dover, and I tried to talk to him about wheelchair access to police stations and post offices, and he refused to even engage with it. And it's bipartisan because you talk about the Cannabis Regulatory Commission here in New Jersey, where cannabis patients, this cannabis industry was built on sick, dying, and disabled patients. You would think the CRC would have a resolution or an ordinance to have wheelchair access to dispensaries. But there are dispensaries all over New Jersey without wheelchair access. South Orange, Jersey City, Maplewood, Camden. They take the photo ops with disabled vets, but they don't care. And I've seen it all over, and it's bipartisan. It's not just Republicans, it's not just Democrats. It's our government. And you have failed the disabled again. We're asking for Zoom access. Can we have Zoom access back? It wouldn't take too much, but I hear the excuses now. Oh, we don't have the technology. You had the technology for 19 months to have Zoom access. Oh, we don't have the people to do it. You had the people to do it for 19 months. All the excuses I've heard. We recently got Dover to go back to in-person to Zoom meetings, except that they banned The in-person meetings. You can't have meetings in person, but it's crazy what's going on in Dover. So I would ask that you put the last first. You think about disabled vets, because you wouldn't even have this council if it wasn't for disabled vets fighting for your right to be ignorant and ableist. And if you're ignorant and ableist, that's on you. I'm not saying you are, but maybe you need to look at yourselves and find out why your schools don't have proper access. It's a lot of issues.
Could you wrap it up, please?
Thank you. And that's all I have. They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Kevin McGoey, Woodland Avenue again. Right, so the one thing that like had bothered me throughout Broad Street West when I first got involved and tried to help those people was they tended to misrepresent the truth, give information that was half-truths, and it really was the purpose of dividing people so that, you know, you couldn't really see what they were doing or whatever. And Broad Street West, I realized it was a product of this problem of people acting in very dishonest ways. And then, you know, in doing so, they would get everybody pitted against each other. So that hasn't stopped at all. That continues. The three candidates for Democratic Council put out a statement titled, "Council Incompetence Puts Summit at Risk of Overdevelopment." There's a lot of stuff about affordable housing that you addressed that refutes it. But then they had this one section at the bottom. Day one, we will protect Summit from overdevelopment and commit the following changes in the way council serves the public. 1, share the information as soon as we are able. That's why we're alerting the community to these lawsuits now. No hiding the truth or backroom deals. 2, engage with residents throughout the process to gather feedback, understand the sentiment, and make the decision that best represents all of Summit residents. It was signed by Dan Crispoli, Jacqueline Lacercina, and Chantel Lamman, and liked by Claire Toth. Claire, you liked this post, so you're aware of it. And then this kind of dovetails into questions that I had asked you, Michelle, via email, because you don't want to discuss anything on social media, that's fine, but you've never answered. And they were, was the council legally able to publicly discuss the developer proposals with the public before they did, with respect to the affordable housing plan that was done? Because you have given this impression on Facebook, and now they're doing it as well, saying that like the council hid something in backdoor deals. I was under the impression that council, and this is what I've asked you, could you have discussed it with the public beforehand? Claire, could you have discussed anything about that beforehand? And I said, what did you as a council member assume you knew about the project before it went public to make the process better, and why didn't you tell the residents about it as soon as you knew, if you were allowed? Have you explained the process and constraints put on council and the planning board to the residents in the area? Did you explain the critical nature of council approving the plan and the ramifications they had not? Are you telling us that you would have, you have had the plan rejected by council and the city, and having the city lose its immunity from builders remedy lawsuits? Can I get 4 minutes?
Just start wrapping it up, please.
All right, can you please explain to all of this, whatever? Claire, you've talked about a fiscal responsibility, proving the city's responsibility. Everybody's worried about the schools and everything else. And you and Jacqueline Lacercina have publicly voiced your support for the At Home and Summit proposal. Again, I've asked you all these questions. I've asked all of you, or I asked people who supported. I asked you if you could answer these, and you've not responded. When council at the time that they moved the firehouse, when they approved that budget of, I think it was $15.8 million at the time, I think it grew a little bit since then, David Nadeau and Greg Vartan stated that the only reason why they felt comfortable with such a large number was because the sale proceeds and tax revenues or payments in lieu of
Mr.
taxes
McGoey, you
would
gotta
help
wrap
pay
it
for,
up, okay?
pay for that. Okay, so I've asked you, have you done a cost analysis of what the At Home in Summit project was? What's the value difference of what they would pay versus what we get property that a developer would pay? Could you please break down the costs associated with the services to the residents, most significantly be the cost of education? I know I asked Dennis White this, and Dennis White told me it wasn't his problem.
Mr.
Of course,
McGoey,
right.
giving you
Okay.
tons of time.
So I'm just wondering, have you looked at the costs associated with that? And could you explain them? And I guess Jackie could do the same since she also supports it.
Thank you. All right, other public comments? Okay. All right, I'm gonna close the public comment section of the meeting, and we're now on to council member comments and new business. Anyone on council like to speak? Councilman Small.
Oh, what a shock.
You already losing the overbet?
Oh, I lost it like about an hour and a half ago.
I know this is extremely late, and I'm not gonna apologize for this because this is extremely important and kind of goes off your comments, Mr. Rampador.
El Rampador, yes, sir. Thank you.
So I have to share some unfortunate news. There was a tragic event that affected one of the biggest stars of our Summit volleyball community. A few weeks ago, Jonathan Liang was in California enjoying his summer break before going to study engineering at Lehigh University as a freshman. He decided to take a surf lesson at Laguna Beach. He had a great time in being the athlete that he is, got up on the board, surfed the beach. After his lesson, he felt tired and had some lower back pain that progressed into severe pain and spasms. Jonathan has been diagnosed with surfer's myelopathy, thank you, doctor. Which is an extremely rare condition that affects first-time and novice surfers. There are less than 80 documented cases worldwide, and I am sad to report that Jonathan cannot walk at this point. Has no feeling below his waist and is bound to a wheelchair as a result of it. Jonathan was flown back to New Jersey last week and is currently undergoing some occupational therapy at Kessler Rehabilitation in West Orange. I received news today that fortunately he will, assuming everything goes well, will be returning home tomorrow here in Summit. This is extremely heartbreaking, and his family is in dire straits of help. And there is a webpage called Help, and I will put this on my council page as well, and as anywhere else I can on the social media. It is helphopelive.org/campaign/26256 if you'd like to donate. But not only are they in need of some funds, because not all their medical expenses are covered by insurance, but also looking for possible some pro bono or discounted rates on home construction to help outfit their home so that it makes it a lot more convenient for Jonathan, as well as legal services and also medical accounting. So if there's anything that you can do, it would be greatly appreciated. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Good message. Other comments from council? Councilman Pulaski.
So I have a bunch.
Go back to Italy.
Yeah.
First, the at-home affordable, 100% affordable project was discussed at the debate, and there were some omissions that I wanted to point out. So there's three important aspects of the at-home 100% affordable project at the old firehouse site that people should be aware of, and why I think the majority of this council would not support it. The first is it would deplete our affordable housing trust. We have about $2 million in that trust, and as a part of that project to make it work, we would have to donate every penny. Now, that money is used to help facilitate affordable housing in summer. There's never been a requirement that a municipality pay for affordable housing or donate land or anything like that. We have to facilitate it by relaxing zoning. So a builder picks out a piece of property where they would like to make a building, but it's not zoned for what they want to do, so they come to the city and they say, hey, we'd like to be a part of your affordable housing plan. Please, please help us with some zoning, and in exchange, we'll give you X number of units, whatever that may be. And so the at-home project would not only require us to deplete our affordable housing trust, which we use for things like helping Our House create special needs affordable housing, which I understand is one of the most lacking affordable housing that we have in New Jersey. We use it for things like assisting the United Methodist Church in creating 15 affordable units for our seniors, and we wouldn't be able to do any of that when those opportunities come about. The second is that it would require the city to donate the firehouse property. Now, I don't know what it's going to sell for. I've seen estimates, it's millions of dollars, and that's essentially Summit taxpayers donating millions of dollars, which of course we're not required to do under the affordable housing laws, and which, you know, based on the whole reason that we moved the firehouse, we need that money to replenish money that we have, money that we have spent on that, which are taxpayer dollars. So we should be trying to get as much as we can for that. The third prong that people should be aware of is that the city would be on the hook for any overages. And the plan that I saw was not fully baked. And we would, the city would likely have to pay more taxpayer dollars in order to make that project come to fruition. And as Councilwoman Hamlet just reminded me, it would generate little or no tax revenue for the city, unlike what a builder might put there. So that's at home. Second, my friend Diego mentioned that the Together for Summit team was elected to help solve the affordable housing problems without overdevelopment. Now, if anybody remembers, when we were going through the whole Broad Street West saga, we were told repeatedly by the folks on council, I remember Marjorie Fox saying that we can't satisfy our round 3 obligations unless we do this Broad Street West project, which would have had unprecedented density. I think it was 50 units per acre. 88 units per acre? Okay, 88 units per acre. Yeah, that's at home is 50. Broad Street West was 88 units per acre. And you know, we got elected and we rolled up our sleeves, and not only did we successfully get out of round 3 without having to build Broad Street West, we actually had a surplus of units. And it just took a little hard work, but it obviously could be done, and I'm really proud of what we did to accomplish that. Next, public comment time. I'd be willing to up it to 4.5 minutes. With a warning at 4 and a hard stop.
Just 30 seconds more, please.
Please. Please. With hard stop at the end of that 30 seconds. And I also spoke to the city solicitor earlier about, you know, depending on how packed the house is, if we can extend that time on certain nights. Here we are, it's after midnight, it's already tomorrow. But, you know, on a lighter night, if we want to give somebody a little more time, as long as we give everybody an additional time, we could do that within our discretion. So I would support that. Mike, I'm hoping that you'll explain how the school budget works and that this council didn't cut anything when it gets to you. my friend Diego also mentioned that I accused our Summit teachers of indoctrinating our students. Now, I know he read every one of the 70-something comments on the Summit Democrat, the SMDC page today, and every one of the, 60-something comments on my Charlie Kirk post. And former Councilman Miniger asked me to clarify whether I was talking about Summit's teachers in my post, and I said no, I wasn't, and perhaps a better word that I could have used instead of teacher was professors. But if you read my post within its scope, I thought it was pretty clear what I was talking about. So, the dog park, overwhelming success. People love the dog park, but I was also troubled by something I heard at the debate. One of the candidates said that the dog park would be frivolous, and I couldn't disagree more. I've been trying to go to the dog park as much as possible. I get there maybe 3 times a week, and I go up to everybody, I introduce myself, I ask them what they think of the dog park. They all love it, and one of the things that they keep telling me is, I'm meeting all kinds of new friends. Can the city set up an app so that I know when my dog's favorite dogs are gonna be there? So we are gonna try to make the dog park permanent. As for whether it's frivolous to spend taxpayer dollars on it, we didn't spend any money on the temporary dog park. But if we wanted to make it permanent, I would cost money. The dog park down at the dump, which I always question the wisdom of, because the dump's not open on Sunday. Every other Saturday, you can't use the dog park there because the free market is there, and when the free market's open, the dog park's closed, and it closes at 3:45 every day. So when do most people want to go to the dog park? After work, on Sunday, on Saturday. It just didn't make a lot of sense, but that dog park costs $50,000. So with government-approved contractors and government-approved vendors, it can add up. But the good news is that a bunch of residents are going to have told me that they want to start a GoFundMe page so that they can help defray the cost, if not pay for the whole thing. I do believe GoFundMe allows you to donate anonymously, so hopefully that won't be a problem. And then finally, on the First Amendment, I just want to remind everybody the First Amendment comes first because it's the most important one. Open debate is the foundation of our free society, and we should not chill speech. We should silence no one. And to do so, and I know some people in town who are really working really hard to influence the electorate block people. The SMDC blocks people. And if you don't believe me, go on their page, and there's a letter from them explaining that they block people. So, and look, to me, blocking anybody on social media, especially when you're trying to influence the opinions of other people, it does a profound disservice to all of us. So I would ask that if you're gonna participate, if you're gonna come to the playground, don't block anybody. Let everybody see what you have to say and let them respond.
Yeah. Thank you. Other comments from Councilman Boyer?
Well, first, I want to apologize to all the residents and the council because now I know how it feels with me taking so long to speak. Councilman Pulaski was kidding. First, I speak my mind, and I couldn't help but see Dan back there and very uncomfortable. And I think I can say this out of everybody up here. I've been called incompetent, a clown, the devil. You should have seen what the LA Times wrote about me. It was terrible. I've had a whole entire church show up here. The camping ban ordinance, so I met a couple of these guys. There was about 100 people here. The resident protection ordinance, there was 50, 60 people here. I mean, all to yell at me. I feel bad for Dan, because, you know, I get it, it's tough, you know, it sucks, right? But it comes with the job. You know, I'm like almost feeling emotional here, right? Because, you know, I went through it. It is tough walking in here with 100 people ready to like rip your head off, verbally maybe, I don't know, you know, but it's a tough thing, you know, it's tough sitting up here. But
You didn't run, you didn't run, you stayed there.
well, of course not, I'm built differently, but, and the reason why though, you know, it's not normal. I can look at the police chief over there, it's like, you know, hey man, you know, I was a detective, right? I'm used to like those environments. Not everybody's used to that, so I feel bad for him, man. So, you know, I'll say that.
I don't feel bad for it, I don't feel bad for him,
So the next thing is, I saw on Facebook, someone said, this current Republican majority hasn't handled affordable housing as well as 10 years ago with the majority Republican council. But they left out 8 years of Murphy as a governor and all the policies that they passed. From 2018 up until 2025, there was about 13 different executive orders and policies passed. These policies enacted under that Democratic control have collectively mandated 300,000 affordable units statewide. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because during this campaign, all I hear is that, you know, the Democrats say, you know, the Republicans are for overdevelopment, we're for underdevelopment. I'm like, man, that is so hypocritical, man. You guys passed all these laws, and that's why we're here. So, you know, I just hope people see their hypocrisy in that. The last thing that I will say is, Charlie Kirk's death was absolutely, you know, horrible. You know, as a father and as a husband, and my heart went out for that man's wife and children. You know, those kids will never be able to talk to their father, and she will never be able to spend the rest of her life with a man that she was devoted to raising children with and growing old with. So, all for what? For words. I read this John Stuart Mill, 1859. I thought this was perfect. So I'm going to read this and I'll be quiet. The particular evil of silencing the expression of an opinion is that it is robbing the human race. Those who dissent from the opinion, still more than those who hold it. If the opinion is right, they are deprived of the opportunity of exchanging error for truth. If wrong, they lose. What is almost as great a benefit, the clearer perception and livelier impression of truth produced by its collision with error. Thank you, Council President.
Can I ask you a question about
Thank you.
that? There are no comments allowed on YouTube, your people are on there?
Councilwoman Hamlet.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for everybody who stayed. I've seen this many residents the next day of a meeting in a long time. A couple of things I wanted to clear up from some of the comments tonight. Glenside is certainly still a priority. I know we're continuing to seek more grant funding. I have to get an update from Congressman Kane's office as far as the grant that we originally went for. I think all of us would be supportive of that project continuing. It's certainly nobody took that off the table. The second one that the woman mentioned was it Baltrasol? Sorry. Yes, Baltrasol, that's on the list, that's on our priority, but I'll certainly huddle up with the city administrator and the director to get a couple of those comments answered. In addition, Salt Brook, I know we can get the information regarding who owns 10 because it's in our affordable housing plan, so that shouldn't be too hard. I wanted to clear up, there was some things that I've seen recently online, and it didn't hit me until I asked Rosie for our committee minutes for our council. And there were some rumblings that the Republican council, we took off, or we ended this organization or this committee called Silver Summit. The Republicans don't like seniors, and they stopped the Silver Summit committee, helping seniors. We don't help seniors. And I thought to myself, you know, I gotta go back to the minutes, because I am pretty sure that I did some research on this, and I think it was Michelle's idea in the committee to remove the committee. And so I did a little bit of research, I read our committee minutes. And so Michelle, I would ask that we take a look at this in admin. So I sent a note to you, Council President, and Rosie, and I said, the Silver Summit Senior Citizens Advisory Board on 3/10, Councilwoman Michelle Camelson and Mayor Fagan met with Sage and the previous director. They were advised that Sage was looking to increase its outreach and interact with more seniors. Sage is a nonprofit group in our town, they do amazing things. Discussion regarding whether to consider dissolving the Silver Summit Senior Board or find someone to drive it. Consensus of administrative policies to have Camelson solicit feedback from members of the committee to determine whether or not this board should be disbanded. While the board had great intentions, it was never able to execute more recently. After meeting with Sage, consensus was that they can better serve our seniors by connecting the Department of Community Programs with Sage. Administrative policies felt the city should have a council liaison assigned to Sage to maintain collaboration between Sage and other senior citizen geared organizations. So I would ask that our next council meeting, we put that liaison to Sage as originally intended from those meetings. So I just wanted to dispel the rumors that the Republicans don't want to help the seniors. And when I went back into my notes, I remember that we had all those conversations, and we just have to arrange for a council liaison to Sage, which I don't think we ever did. That was that.
Other
And
comments? Oh, sorry.
just a couple more. I'll be quick. I know it's late. I just have 2 more things. I have asked New Jersey Transit to power wash the front of the train station. It looked horrendous, and I wanted to thank New Jersey Transit for getting that accomplished. I took some before and afters, but I think it's something that we can, meet with them and on a regular basis get that power washed. And the dog park is great. Just clean up after your dogs. We have bags there. Just try to be diligent around picking up after your dogs. And thank you, everybody, for coming tonight, for the city staff for working so hard.
Thank you. Other comments from council? Councilwoman Tuck.
Oh, yeah, I'll try to be brief, and I may have to repeat it in a few weeks. But first, I want to thank you, Councilmember Smallwood, for telling Jonathan Liang's story. They're my neighbors. They're trying to raise $250,000, and they're a bit under $70,000. So anyone who is feeling particularly generous, that's a really good thing. But I'm really here with my finance hat back on. And as it's been mentioned, although we've just taken steps to fund this year's capital budget, we're already working on next year's. So mark your calendars for the capital budget workshop, which will be here in council chambers on December 10th. And turning to next year's operating budget, the city is going to face significant challenges with health insurance premiums. Residents may be aware that the state health benefits plan, to which Summit has belonged, is in a death spiral. Our premiums have increased more than 51% in the past 3 years, and we're looking at a 37% increase next year. That translates to almost an additional $1.9 million in insurance premiums. So Megan Champney-Queselite, our human resources manager, has been working diligently to source alternatives, and we don't have great ones. This isn't an action item for us on council quite yet, but it does mean that next year's budget season is going to be rough. And I don't want anyone to be surprised about that. Thank
Silver Summit, I don't know about any rumblings that were online, if there were any, I didn't see them. But I do know that it came up at the forum, and what I heard Jacqueline Saracena say was that this council disbanded it, and that's true. I talked about it with the mayor, talked about it with council president, you were on the admin committee with me, it came up that we had lost a lot of people on that committee, that they just weren't able to do it anymore, they weren't interested. So we were looking at, different outreach. I've been reached out to Sage a few times since then, and I've been having a problem connecting with her. But what I love about the statement about Silver Summit is Jackie didn't bother to see who was on the committee who disbanded it. She disagreed with it. She says, I have a better plan. I haven't heard her plan. I would love to hear her plan, and I really like her independence, that she doesn't care if we're from the same party or not. She will, she has disagreed with me, and she's disagreed with Claire. And I do have an announcement to make on an upcoming event. On Friday, September 26th, Summit Public Art will host its 23rd annual fundraiser, an evening of anonymous art at Twin Maples on Springfield Avenue from 7 to 10 p.m. To purchase tickets and get information, go to summitpublicart.com. This will be a unique event featuring 100 artworks donated by artists at all levels of their careers, from the famous to the newcomers. Artist names will be revealed after purchases are made. Each piece is $100. For those who are unaware, Summit Public Art is a 501c3 that operates fully on private donations and grants with the mission to bring public art to Summit, enriching both the downtown and our neighborhoods.
Thank you very much. Other comments from
Council President,
Yeah, Councilman
real
Boyer.
quick, because I have to address the chair of the Summit Housing Authority. I almost forgot about this. So, have you ever been in a situation where you're not being heard, and, like, where you're just not heard? Like, you talk and talk and talk, you complain, you do whatever, but you're like invisible. What the chairman just came up and did was disappointing. Like, you're not listening to the residents there. You're not being heard. You're saying the same thing over and over again. Go to the office and report where they've been doing that. The person just came up 2 weeks ago and cried up here. I just went to the Summit Housing Authority at the senior building and talked to a bunch of people. And it's like you come up and you double down on it. It's just like, I just don't get it. I mean, if you join a committee that interacts with people that are vulnerable, elders, living in low-income housing, you gotta meet them where they are. You gotta listen to them. Listen to them. I mean, that's the failure of this. You're not hearing them. And I'm disappointed with what I heard today. Thank you, Council President. I needed to say that because I know some of those folks are watching.
Thank you very much. Councilman Pulowski.
Super quick. I have a recollection that Silver Summit was created to address issues exacerbated by COVID, and various groups like SAGE and SHIELD and whomever else assists the seniors in Summit created it so that they could coordinate and do a lot of really great work delivering groceries and stuff like that to our seniors. And I also have a recollection that the reason it was disbanded was because, in addition to a lack of interest, the COVID emergency was over. So, look, if there's an appetite to do it, we can help our seniors more. I'm all for it. But just to give a little bit of the history, at least as I recalled it, and I can't remember if that was from a closed session or if we even didn't say it from the dais. If anybody else remembers, let us know. But that's it.
Thank you. Other comments? All right, I'm going to wrap up. I'll try to be brief. First off, I wanted to just I've been thinking a lot, there's obviously the last several months, probably several years, you know, we have been dealing with a lot more drainage issues all throughout our community. And you can blame it on overdevelopment, you can blame it on more violent storms, a combination of them. But the fact of the matter is, we were hearing a lot of this, and we have to get a handle on all of that. And my suggestion would be like, this can't be a little spot project. We have a master plan review coming up, probably next year, that the planning board is gonna have to jump on. And my suggestion would be that we create a subcommittee on that master plan. I know some people have been involved in the master plans in the past. I know, Kevin, you were intimately involved in the last one, where we really look at drainage holistically in town, where we look at our development codes, our lot coverage area, our impervious surface rules, where we look at where we can invest in infrastructure and things like that. We really have to take a really comprehensive look at that, and the master plan is the perfect place to really begin to have that discussion. So I hope that we can do something with that for next year. Second thing is, Councilman Pulaski mentioned I should mention it. I did hear some comments today about talking to us about the school budget. I thought maybe I had just fallen asleep because it was late and I was dreaming, because we don't do the school budget here. We just don't. We do the municipal budget. That's 20% of your tax bill. School budget is done by the Board of Ed. If you want to come up and campaign for your great ideas, do it at the Board of Ed. That's who creates the school budgets. And we have an oversight responsibility. The mayor, 2 members of council sit with 2 members of the Board of Ed on the Board of School Estimates that concurs their budget. But they didn't make it. And this year, as it was brought up again, I'd just like to thank the mayor and Kevin and Delia for pushing back on a budget that was just had no basis in the reality of what our residents are going through around cost of living increases. A 9% tax hike on the school budget, they're on planet Mars. So they should have pushed back. But they pushed back in a way you need to sharpen your pencils. That is the exact message that they should have given to the school board. And if you want to have them do something different, go to the Board of Ed and talk about how the budget should be done there. Because we don't do it here. I don't know how many times I have to say that to people. That's the Board of Ed's job. Let's see. Third point, Councilman Smallwood has been leading the charge. I'm going to pass it over to you before I make my fourth point. We have an event on the 29th.
Yes, thank you, Council President. The Summit PAL has always had a golf outing. This is the largest fundraiser to provide funding for all of their events that they do throughout the year, such as the Easter egg hunt, the dog show, the pet show, and also the fishing derby. And this year, the golf outing is on Monday, September 29th at Watchung Golf Club, Watchung Valley Golf Club. And their PAL Citizen of the Year is being awarded to Jim Davidson for his 27 years of being Summit's coach, probably one of the most successful coaches in the country. Is also part of the New Jersey Hall of Fame coaches, and I couldn't think of anyone who was more well-deserving than Jim to receive the PAL Citizen of the Year. Fortunately, because Jim is so successful and has coached so many student athletes, that the golf outing is actually sold out. However, the dinner and reception and award ceremony is still available, and it's on the PAL, summitpal.org website if you'd like to join us for dinner and the award ceremony for Jim.
Thank you. All right, so my last point, and I know it's super, super late, and I want to thank the chief, Tammy, and you in particular, Rosie, but all of you for staying, and everyone in the audience as well. Before I wrap up, last meeting, after last meeting, I got a phone call from Councilwoman Toth, who was very upset, which is fine, about some of the comments at the end of the meeting, and said, you know, it was more like a Republican rally than a council meeting. And I take my role as council president very, very seriously. It's an honor to be council president, to serve Summit, and to be supported by all the people on the dais to do that role. And so I take it seriously. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna re-look at all the tapes. I hear your concern, and I'll listen, and if I need to talk to Councilman Pulowski, I will do so. And I'll call you back tomorrow. And so I did. Councilman Pulowski, you do talk a lot. So I looked at it, and I wanted to respond to Claire, and so I called back, but between there and then, Claire put out a Facebook post, you know, saying I should have stopped things, and you know, that I let it become a Republican rally, etc. And I'm like, well, I thought we were going to talk about that, but I don't know why that happened. But regardless, I just want to comment on what I watched. So I have had a conversation with our clerk, who's seen it all. And one of the things I've become very cognizant about is speaking for the city, for policy, when there's no consensus on what that policy should be. Because I'm only one person. We're all just one vote. We can't speak about policy until a majority of council people vote on it. Then it becomes city policy, okay? So I think, you know, there was some talk about, you know, I know Delia was being honored, and I completely agree with everything that the mayor said that you've done on the task force. And that seemed to kick things off. I don't know why we can't be gracious and say nice things about each other without it becoming political. We should be able to do that. I don't know why you can't give a little golf clap at a minimum when we do nice things for people. I guess it might be because, you know, everything gets viewed in a political lens, and that's kind of sad to me. I'm not angry about it, I'm just disappointed, I guess, that it's gotten to that. We should be able to say things. Now, specifically about Councilman Pulowski's stuff, he mentioned your Summit Together team in response to a Facebook post. But then he went on.
I don't think they're going to be talking about anything else. They're not going to address my stuff, so.
Support more than, however you word it. I'm disappointed in each one of them for not raising their hand. And I gotta be quite honest, I'm a little bit disappointed that Bob Pulowski's offer was 4.5 minutes.
Right, 4.5.
A half. Why would you do a half?
Right, he's trying to keep like control. See, I'm gonna bestow little extra time. What is this? But he didn't have the guts to raise his freaking hand during the poll.
None of them did. None of them did. But I know for a fact that Dan Crisafelli's political career, before it even started, ended tonight. When Dave was speaking from the exposure report, it shut him down. He couldn't take the heat, you know. And I love Jamel Boyer, Councilman Boyer. I think he's a good guy, but I do not agree with him. I do not feel bad for Dan. I'm glad you guys feel bad for him.
That's what we're saying,
yeah.
right? Do you guys feel bad for him? He's the one who has charges.
You have a criminal investigation because you attempted to ask him a couple questions, very gentle questions.
Investigation that if it's an ongoing investigation, which it says in the paper, then Councilman Mike Turner, Council President, shouldn't even have commented on the situation.
Right. But they were even gentle questions. They could have been eviscerating questions, but I think they were probably gentle questions.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't even answer the question.
Right.
Will you answer questions? And he did not accept an American flag from me as a symbol of like unity. American core values over party politics. He wouldn't even say anything. I said, Mr. Crisafelli, would you like a flag? Say nothing.
You know,
Let's keep it moving.
What was really funny?
Whoa.
Oh. was when Leroy dropped the mic during, no, what was really funny is, when one of you was speaking, it might have been Scalzo, I'm not sure who it was, at some point, he got up, he was angry, and he went up to Chief Peters, and he was demanding, right? He was,
6 people said bad things about him.
this is not cool. And then someone else went up to him, and Peter said, listen, they have the right to speak. Like
So the chief said that?
Yeah. So he shut him down, told him they got the right to speak. That's why I thanked him for that. And then he said, well, he got up and he's like, I'm gonna speak. He has no pad. I guess he was with his wife or whoever that lady was that was with him, friend. I don't know. Whoever she was.
She's running as well.
Okay, so she's running as well. And he said, she was like, I don't know if she was trying to calm him down. He's like, no, I'm gonna say this. This is pertinent to what they're saying. And then I got up and then he was just, I looked back and he was gone.
Goes to this, there's something else you all don't know, is he was in front of me first. And so I was behind him.
I was there.
Yeah, and then I asked him, you know, because he was kind of staying there. He's like, here, you want to go? Yes or no? And he was actually acting.
Can't get it.
No, you go ahead. He spoke, you heard him speak? Yeah. And he said, go ahead first. Go ahead first. But then when he was speaking, he let me skip. Yeah, he let me skip.
He maybe just wanted the last word, because he's a
Yeah, but
manipulative
what he
person.
didn't know is we